trying to beat the sun up. Grinding hard for mine to see a meal before my sun's up. All I'm saying is I'm trying to get my funds up. Gotta stay strapped, case these niggas.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining in another episode of Run It Back, where we highlight the area's greats from yesteryear. This episode is nothing short of that. You know, I have the pleasure of sitting down with, I always say one of my favorite point guards. I got the luxury of seeing him play young, playing with him young, and just watching, the magic that he did on the court. He's a, two-time city in basketball. Just finding out not too long ago that he was also all-city in soccer, but also all-state selection and a state champion. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining in for another episode. But, I like the pleasure of introducing my favorite point guard from Waterbury, Mr. Hero Miller, man. Hey. How you doing, man?
Good to see you.
Likewise, you know it, man. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
First off, man, everybody want to know, man, how you been, man?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm great.
Yes.
I cannot complain. I know we were talking a little bit, but I just got my doctorate degree about almost a year ago.
Wow.
I've been an educator for quite some time.
Yes. And
I still love sports. I'm involved in the sports in my community up in Boston.
Okay.
In Dorchester specifically. So I'm blessed. I cannot.
Oh, man, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Great,
yeah.
man. Great to have you, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive into all that, man. But some of us want to know, man, how did you get started with sports? Like, what was the bug for you?
Man, so I was just a busy kid.
Okay.
So I was very busy. My mother, who you got to meet, was always like, you were just busy, you just moving, always active.
Yeah.
So growing up, like I can remember as early as 5, 6 years old, like playing basketball against my father.
Okay.
I was able to shoot it in the big hoop. I was like 2, 3 years old.
Really?
Yeah, I was able to shoot it in the big hoop.
Wow.
Had the little, Jordan, all those little Dr. J dunk hoops. But like, I was just busy. So back then, what was great was, my family's so big in Waterbury. A lot of my family lived on the hill or in the north end, but we lived on the east end. My parents moved out there at some point. So whether it was where my family was at any family event, whether it was going with my father to the park, whether it was my own neighborhood, like kids were outside playing all the time, every day, and I just was all in. And once I started going to the boys club, that was it.
It was it.
It was like
now you
5,
got
6
everything you
years
want to
old.
do right there.
Right there. So karate, everything. Yeah. So I was just active and embraced every sport since I was little.
Okay. Now, what would you say, like the key sports that kind of like grabbed you early?
Yeah, so definitely, obviously, basketball. That was my first love. Then baseball and soccer.
Okay.
I love football too, but I had just playing in the neighborhood some injuries, so my father shut that down early. But baseball, like you could just catch a baseball game. Like you could just be outside, catch a baseball game. Soccer, kids were playing soccer. Boys Club also had all of that. So in the winter months, that was there. So I was literally playing 3 sports from 5, 6 years old all the way to high school.
Wow.
My whole life, all year round.
And it's crazy because, I started seeing you more at the Boys Club. So us at the Boys Club only know you as basketball.
Right.
Because you excelled so much at it, but not knowing, the other sports that we played there, but not knowing that you still had that talent where you was good in soccer and baseball like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because think about the Boys Club, too. So you had the wall. If you hit it on the wall, it was a home run.
It was a home run.
Same with the kickball.
Yep.
But you had to drop the we had real bats. You had to drop it on the mat.
Yep, I remember that.
If you didn't, you were out. So like, just
and
that
slowed you up. Too.
Yeah, just that taught me a lot. You know what I mean? And then people don't know, they used to have soccer. We would go to like Bridgeport, New Haven, and play them in soccer, indoor. Like from the Boys Club, the van and go play, and then come home. We go to all over the different boys. We do the same in basketball.
Yeah, but
it just the options for playing everything and being involved through the summer, like all year round.
Yeah,
it was all there.
Wow, wow. Yeah. So now you start some of my early memories. Now, basketball at the boys' club, there's a lot of like, baby legends in the making coming up. You got the Moosey and Talences, R.I.P. to them brothers.
Yeah, love
they were
them,
some
man.
legends back in the day. You got Corny,
Man.
you, D. Gray, Mike Sanders.
Yeah.
Watching you guys, play and, seeing the competitiveness, you know what I mean? Were there any at that time? Were there any players that you kind of had to get the one up on, or like kind of like drove you more?
Yeah. Wow. So you just named some real legends. First of all, R.I.P. to Moosey and Talents. I love them. Was in touch with them all the way till they moved on to the next chapter. But they were legends. Mike, Corny, Squirt.
Yeah, Squirt.
Marcus Rob,
Yep.
T-Lot. There's so many now. I don't want to forget any, but there were so many. Rob Paternoster used to come down there.
Oh, yeah.
There was just so many legends. But I'll say Corny, I was small. Corny was smaller than me.
Yeah.
Corny Booker, man, that dude.
Man, the handles he had.
We
boy.
actually text. One of my we have a mutual friend down in Atlanta,
Okay.
and we've been texting the past year or so.
Okay,
so
nice.
it's been great to reconnect with him. But Corny was really that dude. Mike was that dude. Those two drove me to want to be great.
Yeah, okay.
And I didn't really always realize I was younger than them.
Okay.
That's the other thing. Like my father always had me playing, if not with him, like older kids.
Older,
So
okay.
it didn't register to me like high school. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm younger. I'll be
younger.
younger. Really it registered at 8th because I was like, where's everybody at?
Right.
I'm like, oh, it's just me.
Yeah, they left.
Devon, Armin, they was there. Andre Stevenson,
Yep.
Rodney, R.I.P. Rodney. All those dudes were really good too. Andre and Jason. I was between Andre and Jason.
You between them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
between them. But I would say Mike and Corny.
Okay.
Mike continued because I know Corny moved.
Yeah.
But Mike, he always won up. And the crazy thing, what I loved about me and Mike is we would be on the same team and then we would be on different teams.
Okay.
So we were like the greatest rivals, but we were like great friends.
Great friends.
You know what I mean? So it was like a great rivalry because I'm like, nah, I can't let Mike.
Yeah.
Because Mike would always be like, Mike was the first one hitting the net. He'd be like, oh, you can't touch the net.
Yeah.
Then before you know it, you can't slap the backboard.
You can't slap the backboard.
Then, oh, you can't clap it with the ball. Then you can't clap it with two hands.
hands.
Then it went to you can't dunk. And then I'm like, yo, this dude just keeps raising the bar.
He kept raising the bar.
And I'm like, where is he doing it? Like, how is he finding?
Right.
Like we talked about the strength shoes. I tried the strength shoes. My calves end up being all jacked up because I went too hard. But running hills, weight jackets, stairs,
Yep.
you name it. Whether it was me just trying to say, what can I do to get better? Or Mike, oh, there's this workout. Mike always had you need to do squat. Like he would just say things.
And the thing is too, if you think about that, he was young.
Yeah.
Like he'd get the information. I don't know how he get the information.
Right.
He get the information, but if you're around him, he gonna feed it to you too.
Yes.
Now it's up to you to do it, but
Yes.
he's gonna tell you what you need
he
to
would
do.
tell you.
He'll
He would tell you. And invite you to come play with and against him.
Yeah.
We could play with you, and then you ain't better than me. Check ball 1-on-1.
Yep.
So it was a probably the most healthy competition.
Yeah.
I think today. I love all the young youth of today, but I wish there was more of that today, where
for sure.
You can be friends with somebody and still play
still
against
compete.
them and still compete.
Still compete,
And then
yeah.
even if you get mad after the game, it's all love.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. So early on, did you middle school? You went to Catholic school early on too.
So part of my story. So I went to Chase School till 5th grade.
Okay.
And my mother, I wasn't getting in crazy trouble.
Okay.
I was in class with Moosey too, right?
Oh man.
And Aunt Chap, R.I.P. We was all in the same class. So
I
it was
can
a
only
busy
imagine.
class. Ruben McKinney. It was a few of us in that class. We was busy.
Yeah.
But my mother, she always be like, I'm gonna send you to Catholic school. I'm gonna send you to Catholic school. You need just more, it's just too much.
Yeah.
So she sent me to Sacred Heart.
Okay.
That's how me and Mike, because we knew each other, but then they were at Sacred Heart, Gene Mason, a bunch of ballers there. And what was great about that experience at 5th grade, I got to play sports at school.
Okay.
So I was playing at the parks or in the recs, at the boys club, in little leagues. But it was like the first time like I had a real uniform.
Oh, because they had the real.
Yeah, they had
okay,
5th, 6th,
okay.
7th, and 8th. So I had like
Okay.
a real uniform, like
Yeah.
practices. You know, it was
Yeah,
like real.
yeah.
It was real. You had a
Okay.
schedule printed
Okay.
out. You know, they would be in the news. All of that stuff was kind of newspaper, but it was like real. So I went there, and me and Mike, we did well. He was a grade above me. We did very well, 5th and 6th, and then 7th and 8th. And then when I was in 7th, it was interesting because at that time, Sacred Heart Grammar School, that's where we went. I feel like, and someone could correct me if I'm wrong, the last day of school of 7th grade, they was like, okay, it's closed. Thank you. Right?
Oh,
They
just
closed
like
it
that.
down. Yeah, they closed
No
it down.
warning, just kind of like abrupt.
There was like small rumors, but like they were like, yeah, closed.
Wow.
So I was gonna go to Wallace for 8th grade, and then I went to St. Pete's for 8th grade, St. Peter and Paul.
Okay.
And I think that eventually closed too.
Yeah.
In time.
Yeah.
But St. Pete's for 8th grade. So and Sacred Heart and St. Pete's were serious rivals. It was kind of like Holy Cross and Sacred Heart.
Got you.
That's basically what it was. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of St. Pete's kids, some went to Sacred Heart, but a lot of them went to Holy Cross.
Okay.
And vice versa. So I went to St. Pete's for 1 year. We did really well. We played like 40 games or so. It was
40
crazy.
games. Wow.
There's
So
some
you had a
people.
stacked season.
Yeah, there's even people. My boy Sly McIntosh from Bridgeport, who we ended up going to Northeastern together. Still like my best friend, one of my best friends to this day. But I met him while we were playing in a tournament in Bridgeport.
Okay.
So St. Pete's, we would be Sacred Heart. Like we definitely traveled, but St. Pete's, we were traveling. Like we were going to. Like I said, we went to a tournament like Trumbull, Bridgeport.
Yeah.
We'd be in New Britain.
Oh, so y'all well outside of this
Yeah,
area.
we were
like,
well.
yeah.
We were playing basically all the Catholic schools in the state.
Yeah,
at
okay.
the time, and then we even went to New England. They had a New England tournament.
Wow.
Yeah, in 8th grade. So we lost. My boy to this day, they pounded us. That was the only team that really pounded us.
Yeah.
I got them back because we won the states in high school.
Okay.
But I think it was St. Ambrose. They were the best team in 8th grade in New England out of Bridgeport. Wow. 2 of them brothers went D1.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
From
one
back
went,
then.
Yeah, one went to Fairfield. My buddy Sylvester McIntosh went to Northeastern with me.
Okay. Wow.
So it's interesting that we played each other 8th.
Yeah.
When I went to St. Pete's for that
Kinda,
1 year.
Kind of came full circle.
Yeah, it came full circle. And then I was gonna go to Sacred Heart. If Sacred Heart had been open, I probably would have went to Sacred Heart. But they closed it for the grammar school.
Yep.
And then I was gonna still go because Mike's my boy, but I went to Holy Cross.
Holy Cross.
It just like it was kind of like not a last minute, but it was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what made me choose. I love Mike. It was nothing.
And the chemistry with y'all playing together was.
It was good. It was good. It was really good because Mike. We know Mike shoots.
Yeah.
I shoot too.
Yeah.
But I deferred to Mike, so he made me look like I was the purest point guard ever. You know what I'm saying? You know, I throw him
Imagine
a little
that,
alley,
yeah.
you know. And it was hard to guard Mike because he was right-handed, but he went left.
You went left.
So it was like it was hard, and he would shoot from anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I chose Holy Cross, and I don't regret it. It was probably the best decision. of my
Nah,
life.
that's great because I mean you had success there too.
Yeah.
Before we jump into Holy Cross, I remember some junior. Remember the junior pros and the state teams, right?
Yeah.
I never get this situation. For some reason, it was a state team game, and because back then you had to try out for the state team.
Yeah.
Junior pro is you kind of automatically on the
Right,
team,
right,
junior pro,
right.
but you had to try out for the state team.
Right.
You had to try out for the state team. So I remember one time we had a game, and Mike wasn't there, Corny wasn't there. I don't think Talents and them, they wasn't there, but you was there. And so remember, Terry was our coach at the time.
Yep, I remember Terry.
Terry the Jerry curl.
Yep,
Shout
I
out
remember
to Terry.
him. Shout out to Terry.
He was so we was going out of town, we was getting ready to play. And so Art was like, "Oh man, the rest of your boys ain't here?" He was like, "Nah." He said, "So you gonna get about 50 tonight?" He said, "I don't know, we'll see."
Right.
So when we playing and you know, I'm one of them kids. Yeah, I'm on a team, but I'm like young and kind of dumb to the game too. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I never forget. It was a free throw line. It was a free throw. Our team was probably at the free throw, shooting the free throw. And you know, sometimes the ref would be like, "All right, you got to switch over here," but you got to wait till after they shoot.
Right.
And it was on the second shot too. I remember it like it was yesterday. I moved. Tack. Like the lane violation.
Right.
So we going back. You said, "E, that was dumb. Why'd you do that?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "All right, come on, get back on defense."
Yeah, right.
So we kept playing. But to me, like, I could imagine the tongue lashing I probably would have got from like a talent or somebody doing like that. But you made us comfortable, and we still won. You still, you know, got busy. I remember we got back to the boys' club. And Art was like, "Yo, would you get that 50?" He's like, "Nah, I only had like 22. He's like, "Well," he's like, "Yeah, I ain't want them to think I was gunning."
All right. Yeah, that's.
But the way you played, you was able to get everybody involved. But it was almost like, all right, when it's time to take over, all right, and it was it.
Right.
He'll do your thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I saw that early, like, daggone, he can really give him the ball.
Right,
and
right.
He gonna do it.
Right.
So it's one of those things that, you know, I'm younger. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm giving it to him. But you have the confidence and the skill, even at that age, to kind of still make everybody comfortable. And when it's time to turn it on, you was able to turn it on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from?
First, you bringing me so many memories from that story because I remember some of those parts, actually. But I don't know. I want to say it's innate. Like, it's something that I can't describe as a God-given ability. But I think a lot of it came from just what my father instilled in me and just playing against older guys. So it's like my talents, Moosey, Mike, Corny, D. Gray, like all of them, right? I like borderline, as much as I was competing against them, I looked up to them too.
Okay.
And if they weren't there, I'm like, oh, they're not here?
Yeah.
It's gonna be easy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be easy.
Yeah.
Because if I can get through them,
Right.
it's easy.
It's easy.
And I kind of carried that the rest of my, like anywhere I'm like, oh, they ain't here?
Yeah. I
It's
got
hard,
this.
bro.
Yeah.
I got this. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like maybe it came from that.
Okay.
Because even my senior year, I know we didn't get into all of it yet, but it's like I kind of felt like I was like, oh, nobody's here?
Right.
Come on, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they were my biggest competition.
Your biggest competition.
Yeah, Mark,
right.
Rob, T. Lot, they was older. I'm like, oh, they're not here either?
Yeah,
Them
right.
older dudes ain't here? Come on.
Yeah, for sure. Wow.
Yeah.
So you go to Holy Cross. Now, are there any expectations that you have on yourself, or things to, you know, kind of like if, you know, when you look ahead, like who's there, like who I got to play behind, like are those thoughts going around?
Yeah, so absolutely. Holy Cross had a lot of really solid players, fundamentally sound players. You know, of course, Rob Paternoster had left. I think he left when I became in.
Okay. Was
So-
T still there?
T was there.
Oh, T was okay.
And T, like I looked up to T big
Yeah.
time. He was 2 years older than me.
Okay.
But T played like shooting guard. He bring the ball up, but he kind of played, you know, he just give T the ball. Like,
Okay.
whatever. Like,
Yeah.
he, even though he wasn't necessarily the point guard, if it was time, like, give T the ball.
Give T the ball.
So he bring it up as needed. But I just knew T was there. My freshman year, I played freshman JV, and I played like 1 or 2 games in varsity. I think I scored 2 points maybe.
Okay.
In varsity my freshman year. But I was small. You know, I don't know what made me think I was bigger than I was. I don't know. I just was like, he's 6'2",
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm 5'9" now. I was probably 5'8", if that. So when I was small, and I just knew and G was Mr. G. Shout out to Mr. G.
Yeah.
I still in touch with G to this day, but he was no joke.
Right.
Like you remember Rob G.
Yeah, I remember. Rob was no joke.
Worse than Rob, right?
Wow.
Like
Worse than Rob?
Because
Rob would give us a tongue lash.
Oh
He'd
yeah,
come in that gym and
But
shut everything
and they
down.
loved you. You knew they loved you.
That's
but
right.
They were like, nah, right?
That's right.
I mean, it was like that real old school. Like they just weren't having it. Like you're not bigger than anyone here.
Yeah.
Right. So it was freshman year was great as far as being a freshman, but I didn't know. Like I was like, I'm small. They remind you you're small. I had to get a jump shot.
Okay.
Because I was used to just going past people.
Yep.
So I had to develop a jump shot, a floater, all of that, pull up. And I didn't know.
Okay.
I thought I was pretty good. I did well at my basketball camps and little tournaments, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until sophomore year where I really was like, okay, wait a minute. Like I think I developed confidence in the jumper.
Yep.
So then I started having where I could shoot the three, the pull up, and go to the basket finish with the left or right.
Yeah.
So I had those three skills, and shoot, by sophomore year I started.
You started varsity your sophomore year?
Yeah, started sophomore year.
Oh, wow, so that was a major jump.
Yeah, it was a huge jump.
Okay.
So we didn't know because I was just so small, but I think I just kept getting better and better.
Yeah.
And before you know it, like G trusted me to run the point sophomore year.
Let me ask you something about like that system, cause I had I talked to Gordon Shepherd.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's a product of Holy Cross.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things I asked is, Holy Cross has always been one of those teams where, even if it don't look on paper like they got a stacked squad, they always end up kind of like at the top of the heat at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was more of a team oriented. Like everybody was going to touch the ball.
Yes.
You might not, he might not be getting 15 shots,
Right.
but he's still going to touch it at some point.
Right.
How was that? How were you guys able to score within that system? Like you were able to score, like T, like
T and Edmund.
Edmund, like how you guys were able to, because when you look at it, it's like, are they able to take a lot of shots? Because quiet as kept, there's some schools where some players had an abundance of shots they could take.
Right. I don't know. Like it obviously ended up giving me a good balance because I feel like fundamentally I learned a lot. We would run. We ran flex. We also ran motion. We ran, depending on the year of our personnel. Like my sophomore year, I think we ran flex. After that, we ran more motion. And it just was like, I loved it.
Yeah.
We still got enough shots. We played D, so we were probably in the most shape out of any team.
Okay.
So that's something I don't think anyone really understands. So one, we had a lot of multi-sport athletes.
Got you. So
Right.
they active all year round. So
football,
there's really no chilling.
track, like whatever, soccer. So you had people who played multiple sports. But then the conditioning that G put us through, we had bricks. I mean, people don't know we had bricks.
What you mean bricks?
Like bricks from a house.
Okay.
So like
Explain that.
So we had bricks. It was like tradition. You get your bricks and you wrap them in tape. So if it hits the floor, like it doesn't. I don't even know where we got the tape from. Right. Where were they selling tape back then? White tape. But we would wrap them up, put your name on it, and we would do drills with bricks, like defensive slides.
Wow. And you holding the brick?
Holding the bricks. Wall sits. We would do every day like 2 minutes of push. Now, you think 2 minutes of push-ups. I, to this day, could do 50, 60 push-ups like nothing.
2 minutes, that's a long
minutes.
time you're going to get in there. That's a
But
lot.
after a minute, you did like 30, 40. You're like, yo, wait a minute. Y'all got another minute.
minute.
So he's like, yo, don't put your butt down. Stay up. So you minimum just holding yourself up. So between that, we have the jump rope for 2 minutes. And we had to do something else with the sit-ups for 2 minutes. And that was just the warm-up.
That's the warm-up.
Then you had all these ball drills. Then you had the slides. Like defensive slides were, I'm 99% sure they were right after the warm-up.
This is practice.
This is practice. It didn't even start. Like, this is 10 minutes in.
Okay.
Slides. Then you got full court one-on-one. First do it with the bricks. Then you do it live. Like, it was wild, man.
Wow.
We were in unbelievable shape.
That's... Like, when you're saying that now, I'm like, man, that's a routine. Like,
yeah. That was every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Wow.
Even just that jump roping.
Yeah, jump rope is... And here's the thing. You're working your whole body with the jump rope.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
wow.
And that's not accounting for all the other things you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So we were probably and we would press sometimes. Not that we pressed all game, but he knew when to press.
Yeah.
He knew when to press. So I don't remember ever getting winded, like ever.
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 And you know what? And that's the key. We're gonna follow up on that because if you're not getting winded, and you know, as players, you can go through moments of a game where you can coast a little bit, but then if you're not winded, you can turn it up.
Yeah.
You always got the ability to turn it up.
Yeah. And you can smell it. You're like, yo, they're tired.
They're tired. Let's
On
go.
them.
Let's go.
On them.
Wow. So okay. So now you're starting. Now is T still on the
T was the man.
He's the man.
He's
then.
the man. He was a
Okay.
senior.
All right.
We had D. Gray, Paul Nardozzi. I'm trying to think, like Jamie Butler. We had a
Okay.
decent crew.
And so you're the point guard. You're pretty much controlling the pace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I say that, now the city is stacked at this point,
Stacked.
Because Wilby got a juggernaut
was
over there.
stacked.
Crosby got a like
Crosby,
everybody
Kennedy,
got a
Sacred Heart,
Sacred
everybody
Heart
was
got
stacked.
a squad. Everybody got a squad.
And it
now.
just came off of, because you remember that year, I was not in high school yet, but 2 years before that, remember there was like a 5-way tie for first or whatever? So
yeah.
we're coming off of that era where it still was balanced. Torrington was good, Ansonia.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll get into Ansonia in a minute, but all those teams were good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Naugatuck was good too. Yeah.
Naugatuck was over there.
Yeah.
Like the whole NVL,
Yeah,
like
it was pretty good.
You couldn't take it easy on nobody.
No.
You didn't really have no
No.
off nights, like
No.
where you can kind of like, all right, we're gonna coast.
No. No.
And being a squad like Holy Cross is, you know, you got some teams that's gunning for you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, how comfortable are you in that role though?
So it's funny because someone sent me like a tape, not a tape, YouTube. Someone taped the games on YouTube. So there was like a game where I was a sophomore. I knew because we wore high socks.
Okay.
So I was like, and we had the old uniform. So I was like, oh, like, wow, I was really running the one. Like I was shooting, but I was only shooting if I was wide open or had it. I had to give T and D, like I had to give it up. And G's offense, especially our secondary, like the 2-man always ran up the wing. Like D Gray was all at, and the crazy thing, he wasn't cherry picking. I don't know how D Gray would just be there. Yo, he'd just be there. And like it would start kind of initiate our offense. So I really ran the offense. I think that T's leadership was huge that year. T ended up, I think he went to prep after that, but he was getting offers. He ended up going to Florida International.
Florida
I played
International.
against him in college too.
Did you?
Yeah, Florida International.
Oh, man.
When I was a freshman. But T, I mean, it was easy. I would say that year was great. I mean, the NVL was great, but we took a bad one to Marcus Camby and them in the state tournament.
Yeah, that was a rough one. Marcus had like, what, 14
got
blocks or
pummeled,
something
man.
like
We
that?
got
Crazy.
pummeled. I never, and I'm like, me and T both went D1, and it was like we never. That was one time I was like, yo, I don't know if I could play.
Really?
Like after that game, we lost at Harvard Public.
What made that? Okay, what made that game so like
I
lopsided?
just never been like no team has ever dominated me. Like I was telling you earlier, like, oh, they're not here. Like we good, right?
Yeah.
And T, I watched T do magic against every team in the NVL.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is nothing.
It's nothing.
And man, Marcus Camby, that was. They had other players too, like Kendrick Moore. They had other D1 and college level players. They went undefeated, but I just never watched someone who was 6'11", 7 feet, who could block the ball at the rim to half court, run, beat everyone down, dunk it, and just like, yo, let's do this again. Like he just kept doing it.
Kept doing it.
Nothing. Like I couldn't get my floater up. Nothing. And
Wow, it's like a high ceiling. You got to get that over.
And like it all makes sense. There was that time. The other time, I'm going back to 8. I was actually in middle school. I was probably in 6th grade at the time.
Okay.
But Marcus Camby was one athlete that really humbled me. To Bucky Jones.
Oh, to New Britain.
Yeah, so to Bucky, and I played AU with his brother Sean. But to Bucky, I think they were in 8th, and we was playing nutmeg games. Me and Mike were like younger.
Okay.
So my father was coaching, and even put us in the game. right? But I look back, like we was in 6th grade. They were like in 8th.
Yeah.
But didn't even put us in the game until Bucky dunked it. 8th grade.
8th grade.
Yo, I think he got it off the thing and just was like, boom.
Wow.
And I just was like, yo, I don't want to go in the game. That's the first. So it was that time. I was only in like 6th grade.
I don't want to go in the game.
Yo, I was like, yo, this dude just dunked it. And then Marcus Camby, I wanted to obviously be in the game.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, I don't know, like, that's
Wow.
something different.
Yeah.
That was
Because he's
something-
getting everything.
Yeah,
Floaters,
everything.
He's getting
And was faster than everybody straight up and down the court.
Wow.
So I'm like, what does that mean for me? I'm not faster than him. I'm
Yeah.
short. I'm supposed to be faster. I had to think a lot that offseason.
Wow.
Yeah.
But overall, you guys had a good season though.
We did. I think that was either the 2nd round or the 3rd round. It might have been the 2nd round.
The second round,
It might have
y'all
been
faced them.
2nd or 3rd round in Hartford Public. But you going
Yeah.
to Hartford Public, I mean, that was...
That's rough. But in hindsight too, look at it. Look at where Camby ended up though.
Yeah,
Go to UMass and then the league, and
I mean,
and
he
they
had
still
a 17,
put in work.
18-year career.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Putting
know?
in work.
Yeah. So,
But that's crazy. You actually met him in high school, and
yeah.
to see the early stages of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was amazing. And, the more I look back, like, I'm like, wow, if I can't go against him. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Actually, I was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I was where I was supposed to
Right.
be.
He caught you at the right time.
Right. Because then it started to be, Camby ain't here? Oh,
Yeah,
we got
right.
this. Right.
He caught you
We
at the
got-
right time.
Yeah, we got this. Camby ain't, all my boys ain't here, and Camby ain't here? Oh, we
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah. So within the city, I know a lot of times they like Holy Cross and Sacred Heart. Those are good rival games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm obviously the Catholic school of both of them, but it's just great talent on both sides. Were there other games that you got up a little bit more, or some of the teams that caused a little bit more? You had to be on your A game.
Yeah, so definitely will be.
Yes.
Devon.
Will be in them. It seemed like they for like 7, almost it feels like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
They had like 4 guys.
Yeah. Because Devon started as a freshman
As a freshman.
at Wilby.
Yeah.
He may score 2,000. I don't know, or high 1,000.
I know he got high 1,000, and
He
he got
might have
1,000 rebounds
too. Yeah,
he got 1,000 rebounds
Devon,
too.
and I look back, I'm like, Devon was like 6'1". Like he used to seem so. Remember, he had the dress. He
Yeah.
seemed so tall. He could dunk. He could
was a
move.
beast,
he was
though.
he was unbelievable. So like Devon, Wilby, they all like outside of the first you had the like Manny Wright era and all that
Yep.
era.
Then the Dame Manny.
Then the Dame.
with Devon.
Then Mark, Rob and
T-Lot.
and then you had the Devon and Rodney,
Yep.
Jamel
Yep,
in that
Mel
era.
Lawrence.
So it was like we always had to be on our game. We actually would get them, but it not to say we beat them more. I don't even know. We beat them like for the championship maybe, or
Yeah.
we'd both be like kind of in the front. But we always had to lace up for them because it just was like they were gonna always be. They're gonna go out slinging, like
Yeah.
they're gonna go out shooting. And then I would say Kennedy was sneaky with Armin and Marlon.
Yes.
They were,
Yes.
and those rims.
And that was
stunk.
that power punch that they had with them two
Yeah.
played so well with each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Kennedy's rims. I don't know if they still the same. Them rims, man. Sacred Heart played it too. I just hate those rims. But they were tough. Of course, Sacred Heart was tough, especially when Mike was there. I know it changed when he left. Crosby. They were tough.
Yeah.
With Jay.
They had Jay Dre,
Andre,
Rob Saunders, Sharon
They had
Watts.
Chris Latham.
Chris Latham,
right?
yeah.
Right. They
Yes.
were tough. They had a lot of dudes. They had Ortiz.
Yeah, Tony.
Now I can't remember if he played his senior year, but he played.
Was
I
that
think
his senior year?
I don't know if he played his senior year because remember he was football track
yeah.
phenomenon.
Right.
Ended up playing big time college football, but
He was a dunker, too.
yeah, he could dunk. One of the unbelievable athletes I ever seen. They were tough. You know who else was tough though? Torrington.
Torrington?
Yeah, they were tough, man.
Okay.
They were really tough. We'd have to. I think we beat them there, but it was.
It was a
I
tough
don't know
game.
how we got out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys lose to Canby, your sophomore year. What's your mental preparation or even physical preparation the time from that going into your junior year? Like, how are you, like, and what are you looking for? Because you know T's going to be gone.
Yeah, right. So the great thing is we had a solid, Edmund was coming in.
Okay.
That was obviously big.
Yes.
And it's funny because anytime I see Edmund, I'm like, yo, I remember when I used to be taller than you, right? when I was like 7, you were like 4, 5, whatever. But, you know, I thought we had a great chemistry because we had a mix of old, younger, and in between.
Yeah.
And the thing about like Paul Nardozzi, D. Gray, Brandon Gillis, a bunch of those guys, Chris Matthews, they weren't like they let you know when they wanted the ball, but they weren't like they were like, no, H, like you got this, like
you got it. Okay.
Oh, okay, Edmund, like let's go. We gonna throw Edmund alley. Okay, cool. Like they were not selfish.
Got you.
So they were seniors. They let you know that.
Yeah.
But they were happy to defer if they needed to.
Yeah.
And play their role too.
Oh, no,
so I was able to be I was able to be like a pure point guard who knew when to do what.
Yep.
And I thought we actually had a better team that year than we did the year we won it.
Really?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. Now, take into account both me and Edmund obviously got better from, junior to the following year. But I just thought we had the chemistry, we had the talent. We just fell short. And ironically, we lost to Windsor, who we played again the next year.
The next year. That's right.
So, but the preparation, I would just say going into my junior year, that summer was probably the best summer I ever had.
Yeah.
So we used to go to Eastern Invitational every year, which was in Trenton, New Jersey. So that was a great, I think it was 5 days, or it might have been 7 days. I don't remember, but it was from
that was one of the premier basketball camps.
Yeah, it was an amazing camp. Then, so between Eastern, I can't remember, I might have went to like a couple local camps, not UConn, but maybe like there was camp at Southern, it might have been Slamma Jamma. And then I played in the Y League. Okay. I just remember coming back home from camp, and I was playing in Y Leagues, doing a little AAU, and I was just like on a rampage that year.
When you was ready.
Like, I was like just at a different level. Like I think my speed had hit this next level, and then my jumper, it was all clicking.
So everything was coming together.
Yeah,
now.
Everything.
Now, were you going into the mindset of I'm gonna have to be more of a scorer now, or just be more of a sharper facilitator?
Both. I thought I had to make sure because Paul Nardozzi, so just like Derek Gray was always there, he was the 4. Okay. And he was, I'm like, yo, this dude's already down the court, right? He was already, did he inbounds the ball? No, I forget, maybe it was Edmund who inbound, but Nardozzi was gone.
Okay.
D. Gray gone.
Wow.
So just that alone, they're getting theirs.
They're getting theirs.
And then when the offense kind of slows down, or we need a big play, I can get mine or create,
Okay.
So I think it was a great balance, and Edmund did well. I know he was a freshman, but I'm sure we could have leaned on him even more.
Yeah.
But he was young and trying to figure it out too.
Yeah. Okay.
So that team, that summer was special. I would get letters. I got a lot of letters from a lot of schools.
Okay.
But since like freshman year, but it wasn't real. Like it was like, I was like, I don't think they want me. Like I'm like I got the letter. I'm on their list.
Okay.
But like, I don't think they really, really want me. Yeah. So I didn't have any offers. But again, that summer was great and that season was great. We won the NVL. We didn't win the states, but we got our revenge.
So you saying you was uncertain if they wanted you, but based on what you're around, like the NVL, the city, do you see yourself as the top dog?
Junior year, I thought I was in the discussion. Okay. I did make all NVL.
Yeah.
I thought I was right there. I thought I was the best point guard in the city when I was a junior.
Yeah.
I did. But sophomore, I was trying to figure it out. Not to say I wasn't, but I was trying to figure it out. But junior year, I thought I was.
Junior year?
Yeah.
You said something, you said a couple of things that's like real key. And I try to drive that that message home to like a lot of younger players today. You know, you said you went to a couple camps, numerous camps, and then AAU or the Y League at the end. Do you think that a lot of times the kids of today can get caught up playing too much ball instead of honing in on some of their skills? Because, you know, now kids play AAU whole summer.
Yeah. I think that first shout out to just the development, like how a lot of it has grown and the opportunities have grown for our kids. Then at the same time, a couple of things. One, I wish kids played multiple sports.
Okay.
Because I just think there is
that keeps your body keeps your body kind of like tight and ready to go.
Yeah. Like it keeps you, and you just get a different experience, and I think you even have a deeper appreciation for you know how you, if that's your main sport, how you approach it and how you compete. I think that some of the younger, like the way it is now, like camps, what made camps special was you got 3 sessions of skill development. So you have skill development in the morning where you got stations.
And you
then
play
you
a
have
couple games a day, but
right. Then you have a
but
game.
you got the skill development.
Right, you got that skill development. So
Yeah.
you're learning all these things you're not realizing. You're learning triple threat, you know, going with the left, going with the right, in and out, all these different moves, all these different strategies from different people. So for me, because you're really getting it from everywhere.
Everywhere.
Right, different styles.
Yep.
So camp was huge, and I just would see, like, when you start to do the math, when you think of camp, especially back then, day camp's one thing, but if it's overnight camp, sun up to sundown, 3 meals, 3 games, 3 sessions, like, that's the most ball you're ever gonna play in a week's time.
That is.
That's probably as much ball as you need for the whole summer. So then when I went to the park after that, I was like, come on, man. Y'all not even ready.
when I think about that, when you break it down like that, you're playing if you're there for a week, you're playing 3 games. You are playing 3 games a day.
Yes. Yes.
Morning, noon, and you got the evening game.
Right.
And you got the skills in between.
Right,
You know what I mean? 3 games a day.
Right.
For a week. That is
Right.
You know,
So I would even challenge, like, and maybe I need to call some people. I don't know, but like, I coached college for a tight second.
Okay.
And we used to have they weren't camps, but they would be like they'd be like a team tournament camp.
Okay.
So like, even if it was like, say if it was like, okay, bring these 5 or 10 AAU teams, come down to this campus, you'll play games where we'll do some skill development with everybody.
Gotcha.
Because I know basketball camp, not to say it doesn't exist, I just know it's different.
Yeah.
It's not as, I just don't hear about it as much. But I think those week sessions of like, because even AAU, no disrespect, but I know they're not doing all of that skill development. You got an hour here, 2 hours there, if you get a practice, and that's it.
That's it.
But kids are doing the private training,
Yep.
right? They do that, which is great, but it's something about that skill development because you're not say you're not working on moves, but you're working on so many moves that before you know it, like, you just have moves, and you're not like premeditating. Let me like
it
do
becomes
this
second
move.
nature to
you.
you.
Yeah. So I wish there was a way to kind of take some of the new things, take some of the old things.
Well, here's the thing too: is like when you have, especially those overnight ones, right? And you have the skill development. You know, you got your game, but you got that. But guess what? You come right back at it tomorrow.
Right.
And you might be able to use some of it in that game right after that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you ain't, it's
Right.
not leaving you.
Right.
You know,
It's not.
And it don't give you time to learn bad habits.
Right.
You're around this the whole time.
The whole time.
You know. So okay, so now you guys fall short your junior year.
To Windsor. Shout out to Coach Smith.
Now, do you feel like it's one of those things? A lot of times like we could have did this different, or just we just sometimes you just fall short. Sometimes.
Yeah, we just fell short. I mean, Windsor, they always were known for their defense. They actually beat us at Holy Cross.
Ooh.
Right? We might have, I forget if we were like maybe top 3 ranking, maybe top 4 ranking in Double L.
Yeah.
That year. Now it's D1, D2.
Yeah.
So Double L was D1. But, that was a tough loss, especially the more I look back. Like, I didn't take it for granted. I feel like I left every game, I left it all out there. But I didn't realize how much it hurt the seniors. Like, once I see some of them, even the coaches crying with them, like, oh, like this was their last game.
That's
like,
it.
So I didn't take for granted, but I just wish I had to treat it like this is my last game too.
Right.
Like,
right.
Even if that meant I just got to take over the game.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think it was when you think in hindsight, like I probably could have took over a little sooner,
right?
Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think about that?
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Like in hindsight, because you see, like, wow, the seniors are done, and they're crying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now it's funny because we played Camden and nobody was crying. I think we were just in shock, like, yo. Who the hell is that?
Right. Shock.
Right.
You're too shocked to cry.
Right. Well, here's the other thing. I forgot. We went before that. We went to Hill House and beat them at Hill House.
Yeah.
T had like 40. I don't know. I had 20. I don't know what I had. I had a good game.
Yeah.
They walk into the crowd, walk on the floor. We're like, oh, we going to Harvard Public. We doing the same. Man, listen. Humble pie. But we weren't crying. People just staring at the wall like, yo, what happened? But that Windsor game, we were feeling it because we knew we felt we were better. They were talented. They were good.
Okay.
But we felt our first man to our last that we had a better team
overall.
But it was tough.
Right.
They stuck it to us.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So now, boom, that's out the way. Now, are you starting to get more notoriety from schools? Interest and stuff like that.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. So going into my senior year, I still didn't have any. Let me back up. That summer going into, so it's end of junior year, had a good junior year.
Okay.
I'm playing with different AAU teams. I ended up playing with Select that summer.
Okay.
Some tournaments. It was interesting because I'm starting to look back, like I was on an AAU team, but I also played with like 2 or 3, like we had Connecticut starters.
Okay.
Connecticut Select, and then the Cardinal Sheehan Center out of Bridgeport.
Sheehan Center, yeah.
Yeah, so I played with a few of those teams. I got to play with some great players. So that summer, leaving my junior year, going to my senior, now it was my most important summer. I think my junior summer, I had to prove a little more. So I was like, I really had to. I just felt like this urgency to like just get better.
Yep.
Not that I didn't feel that senior. I'm like, yo, I need to get a scholarship. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Because I'm like, I see, like, I know I can get one. So, and then Mike, so I'm going to Mike finished. So, yeah, Mike was going to Iona. I remember Georgetown came to look at Mike.
Yeah.
At the boys club. But guess who they took instead of Mike? Allen Iverson. You know what I'm saying? So, like, okay, sorry. I guess Allen Iverson wins that one. But Mike, you look at their games like, I mean, Allen Iverson's obviously Allen Iverson, but Mike
was in the discussion at that time.
Yes, he was that good. So, going in my senior year, one thing I appreciate Coach G, he really like pushed me, but he pushed us to like really explore different AAU teams.
Okay.
So I did Select. And then I did some turns with Cardinal Sheehan. Then I get a call late. It was actually Wayne Simone called me.
Shout out to Wayne.
Yeah, shout out to Wayne. Right? So Wayne called me. Like, it's like a Thursday night. He's like, yo, I got a call. Sonny Vaccaro, yo, you're going to ABCD camp. Yeah, okay. I was a late addition. I had a great summer.
That's a good camp right there.
Yeah, because I went to Eastern. I forget where else I went. I was supposed to go to 5-star. I actually dropped out of 5-star after going to ABCD because I was just sore, But anyway, got out there after having a good summer. So I'll just say AAU. Who did we beat that summer? We beat ABC. I'm still tight with a lot of those dudes to this day up in Boston.
Okay.
We played Kobe Bryant. And Cardinal, no, not Cardinal Sheehan. He played for Sam Rhines.
Okay.
So we beat them. We beat Riverside. We beat everybody.
Wow.
We lost to Baltimore. I forget the name of their team. They had like dude Shante Rogers who went to George Washington. He's like 5'4". And Bootsy Thornton who went to St. John's. I believe they were both on that team. But we were beating teams, and then I go to ABCD, and I played well. I made top 50.
Okay.
At ABCD.
Wow.
May have been 40 something. I don't even remember. I don't know what the list is. But you got like people like Shamgar, Steph Marbury, Kobe, Sharif Abdul-Rahim. I mean, the names go on and on. And I played well. My first night there, I caught a dunk.
Get out of here.
Boom.
Went upstairs
Right
on
out.
him.
Listen, right out. It's funny because you realize those college floors, you got to lift on them.
Yeah.
It's not like, the rec. You're like, I love the rec of the boys club, but those floors, you got that bounce. So I was like, oh, I'm up here. Boom. Right? So I got offered I was getting offers right after that.
Okay.
Immediately. That camp, I played with Shaheen Holloway.
Ooh,
We were in the backcourt together. Here's what's crazy about Shaheen. We're in the backcourt together, wreaking havoc. I think we went undefeated that whole week. I don't know if we won the champion, we won the regular season. Yeah. I don't know if we won the championship. We might have, but we were wreaking havoc. He was well known. I wasn't known on that stage. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute, this dude's a year younger than me. I didn't know until and he's the first dude that was like, we playing Steph Marbury and them. He's like, I got him. Yo, right? He was like, I got him. I was like, all right. I wanted to guard him. Just because I knew, not that I'm trying to stop him. No, I need to see where I'm at.
Where you at?
My boy Wayne Turner, all them dudes were there. And like I said, I caught the dunk. My phone was ringing. It's funny because you had the pay phones back then. Yeah. So I don't know how I had quarters. I'm calling my mother. She's like, yo, they offered you. These people offered. I didn't even know.
Wow. I
didn't know until I called her.
Yeah.
All those people called. I had a lot of offers. I say early, they some of them backed off late or maybe thought I wanted someone else or they wanted someone else. But I had Ryder. I had Fairfield. I had Jacksonville, I had Marquette, I had Tennessee, I had Indiana State, I had Oregon State. Oh, wow. I had some pretty good schools that were at me. Yeah. And again, each of them had their level of interest. Yep, and I know I'm missing some schools, but they were pretty serious. Wow. About it. Yeah.
Wow. So that was really a good move for you.
Yeah, it was a great move. That tournament, that camp, that summer was great for me. But that camp just put me on the map. Yeah. Really put me on the map because I was able to show I could play with that level.
Now, did that boost your confidence coming back to the city for your senior year?
Yeah, it boosted my confidence. I think the big thing though, I did want to sign early.
Okay, get out the way.
Yeah, I wanted to get it out the way so I could concentrate. It's probably the best decision I ever made in my life. And at that time, they didn't offer me. So here's a funny story. So Jim Calhoun, Howie Dickerman, Dave Lato, right? So they were all the three, obviously Calhoun was the head coach, but Howie Dickerman and Dave Lato were assistants. Mm-hmm. So I'm not even really understanding the history of Northeastern. I knew about Reggie Lewis, but didn't really know Calhoun, coach there. So I think it was Calhoun wrote me in cursive. He wrote me a letter that summer. Wow. And it was... I knew they kind of always were on Edmond, always. But he wrote me a letter, handwritten. He was like, "Yo, we like you. Keep working hard. We're not recruiting you though."
Okay, we're not recruiting you though.
He's like, you're small. You're small. He always be like, "Yo, you're small. You're a midget." That's I know that's not PC, but that's what they said. Mm-hmm. So he's like, "But yo, I think something's gonna work out for you at Northeastern." And then Dave Lato ended up being the head coach at Northeastern, and then he recruited me there because I would go to UConn camp. They were always around. Yeah, they were always around. They, be pound. I mean, you probably couldn't shake their hand back then. I forget, but it'd be the little head nod and thumbs up, keep working hard, and he was like, "Yeah, you're a little too short for us." And he's like, "Yo, you're fourth on the list." That's what he's. You're fourth on the list. He was like Wayne Turner, who was my boy. Yeah. John Celestin, he ended up going to Villanova. Okay. And John Celestin, he was a great player out of Jersey. I feel like he grew though. He was I feel like he was my height one summer, then he ended up being 6'4". And then Ricky Moore. Okay. And I think he was third. I think. And then he was like, yeah, maybe, maybe you after that. He was brutally honest. But ended up Northeastern came up and the opportunity came and I was able to sign with them early.
So that's great too. You was able to get that out your way.
And then my boy Slide McIntosh, once I knew, because we still kept in touch through when they destroyed us, St. Ambrose. Yeah. But we'd be at camps, and then we played AAU, and then once they was like, I think they set us up, they like, well, Harold's coming. Oh, they were like, well, Slide's coming. I was like, oh, Slide coming? All right, then I'm coming. Yeah. So it was like, it was an easy decision.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great decision.
So now, your senior year, are you looking at that season like, okay, this is my senior year now. I ain't trying to, go out crying at the end. Like, right. Are you attacking the season like you're on the mission, or is like, is there any pressure now? Because now you're the top. You're the guy.
Yeah. It was interesting because in my head, I'm like, obviously Devon, Armin, all those dudes they all played college ball. They were really good players. But I was determined. Okay. I was still mad at that Windsor loss. I was like, nope, it's none of this like, oh, he signed, it's going to be a letdown. Like, nah, I'm going to prove every night. And that's what I think I did. So I was determined. It was crazy because Ansonia, so I told you I was going to get back to Ansonia.
Yep.
So, they will be in Ansonia.
Ansonia had Rob Sanders, right?
So they had Rob Sanders. They had my boy Lenny. They had Stanford Steve, who works at ESPN now. But they had They had a lot of football guys. They had the basketball guys. They had their back line or their bigs. Part of me were like 6'7", 6'6", 6'.
Oh, they had real big.
Yeah, and
at
Steve,
that time.
Steve, he was their quarterback. But he was their point guard. He was like 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". So they were big, and they beat us at Ansonia. That was our only loss that year.
Okay.
So guys tell me to this day, I do remember, I was like, yo, that's okay. I was like, yo, we're going to beat them next time. Because we played bad and still almost came back.
Yeah.
And Edmond, no one had their best game. And I was like, we're going to play better, and we're going to win the States too.
Okay.
And we never lost again. We just went on a rampage. Like, I think we played Wilby. I remember Jamel was coming at me, Lawrence, because you had Rounch, you had both two Mel. They were both really good, right? Yeah, right. That the one of Kennedy grew too. He used to be little, just grew.
And then he shot out.
Yeah, he just shot out. But I remember we playing Wilby, and Jamel was like coming at me hard. That was probably the one game where I was like, yo, dude's really coming for me. Like, I really don't have an answer right now.
Now.
So they took me out the game. It's like, yo, what you doing? I was like, yo, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Yo, I hit 8 threes in a row.
8 threes in a row.
Game over. Then we played
8 threes in a row.
Then we had we played Naugatuck. I don't know if it was the next game, whatever, one of the subsequent home games. And I had 9 threes.
Wow.
And then we played Ansonia for the NVLs. I had 10 threes. Like all of those back to back to back.
8, 9, 10.
Game
three
over.
games, like the three games in a row.
Game over. And the thing is, the way I was shooting in practice and the shots, I was like, yo, in this gym, I'm like, yeah, it's old. Like, no one's beating us in this gym.
That's crazy.
And we had a trick. So I'm giving up some special sauce, but we had this one rim that was kind of messed up at Holy Cross. One was like high, the other was really good.
Yeah.
So if you had a good first half, I was like, all right, let's see how you gonna do in the
I think
second
they still
half.
got that situation going on.
Right. All right, they shooting great in the first half. Let's see how they do in the second half. Because that rim was just higher. It was something about it.
Yeah.
But we were used to it.
Okay.
So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But we just determined. And Ansonia, the beautiful thing about it, so Lenny, he does a lot of sports memorabilia work from Ansonia. I don't know where he lives currently, but I know, obviously that's where I know him from. Ansonia was only lost. No, they lost 2 games that year.
Okay.
But they won the States in the L's. So we won it in double L. They won it in L.
Wow.
And I think it's
both of y'all losses to each other.
Yeah. And I think what makes it real special is this is our 30th anniversary. Wow. So Lenny hit me the other day like, yo, it's 30 years.
That's crazy.
I'm like, 30 years since graduating? He's like, no, we both won the state championship. I was like, are we the only two schools in the NVL to ever win the states in the same year? And the answer might be yes. So we need all our stat geeks. Come on.
Stat geeks, check that out. Ansonia Holy Cross.
Yeah, for real. So, so we both won it, and that was special.
Wow.
That was really special.
So when you won, like, what would you say your best game was?
Probably the 10 threes, 51 points.
Okay.
That probably was. Some people say I had 11 threes. I think I had 10. That was probably my best game. The Wilby one was a great game. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think in the States. I had a couple of great games in the States. Edmond played amazing in the States.
Yeah.
But probably that 51,
51?
10 threes. That was probably my best. And that was for the league championship.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, as we transition on, it's a part of our segment called Test Your Recall. I throw some numbers out there. Just, let me know, what they mean or if you know what they are.
Okay.
15 of 28. 98, 71. What those numbers mean.
So say 15
of 28. 98, 71.
I don't know, man. what?
So, you scored 15 of your 28 in the second half of the 98 to 71 win over Fitch in the semifinals.
Wow. So, you know what's crazy? Without me ever even knowing that, I knew I had a good game against Fitch.
Yeah.
Edmond might have had 40 that game, though.
Yeah. I'm going to give you another try. Mm-hmm. All right, so we got 8 of 12, 21, 5, 57, 49.
Is that the state championship?
State championship. You was 8 of you was 8. You scored 8 of your 12 in the last period for 21 points, 5 assists, 57-41 victory over Windsor in the state championship.
Yeah, that game, man. That was a defensive game.
That's wow.
Yeah, that was a defensive game. They were picking me up full court the whole game.
The whole game.
And I was like, look, let's go. Like, I knew Coach Smith was going to do that.
It's crazy because these two games, right? Mm-hmm. It's one of those you emerged in the second half. Mm-hmm. Early on, like you took over in the second half. Mm-hmm. It's like you can, all right, I'm gonna, fill you out, do your thing, get everybody involved, and again, take over. Mm-hmm. So you always had that taking over, even when we was kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? It never left. And one thing too, when I think of like your if you have like your superpower would be to stay poised, like in the heat of like tight situations and games where you don't get flustered, like you don't lose your player.
Right.
Everybody keep their confidence. All right, this is our time. We good.
Right.
We about to give it to them now.
Right.
Whereas it's like, oh man, they went on the run. Nah, don't worry about it. It's gonna be all right.
Right.
Your ability to keep poised, number one, for you to stay poised and keep your players around you poised to go on those surges that you had to do. And like I said, these are second half. These are points. Like you need these points.
Right.
Second, like you need them. Like these are like points that count now.
Right.
Your ability to do that.
Right.
And I wanted to highlight that. It's kind of like a testament of like, not to say your career, but like what you've done to the city, like what people was actually seeing at these games when you coming through, like you putting on the show, but it's like, teams might be like, oh, they in there. Next thing you know, oh, I knew it. See what Hero did at the end? It's like, but it's the ability to make those around you better. You know what I mean? Even though they might have been, even if there was role players, but they still mattered.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And, your overall successes, like, each year y'all, still had winning records, and then you got a chip out of that,
Yeah, nah. That and just to speak, first of all, thank you for bringing that stuff out, because that Fitch game was a special game, and obviously winning the state championship. Two things I want to say. One, that I think that just came from playing against older people all the time, and just like learning from just watching how poised they were.
Yeah.
And just knowing, like, I got to do it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, one thing I think Edmund probably knows, and I told Mr. G this, but I actually almost lost the championship for us because we played West Hill at Hartford. I think it even it didn't go into overtime, but it was a tight game. They had my boy Jamar Dunmore. They had another kid, young kid. I think his last name was Armstead. They were good. They were really good. And I drove the length of the floor. I don't know, 4 seconds maybe. And I threw it up. Now here's what's funny. I saw Edmund, and I could have threw him the alley. And I was like, I'm not gonna have enough time to throw him the alley.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of all of this in like 3 seconds. And Jamar's coming. Jamar had probably a 50-inch vert.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me get this teardrop over Jamar. I miss. This is the semifinal game.
Okay.
I miss, and in my head, I'm about to cry. I'm like, yo, I just lost us the game.
Wow.
Yo, Edmund tipped it in.
Tipped it in.
Yo, tipped it in. And I'm like, I should have just threw him the alley, right? But he tipped it in.
Wow.
And like, yo, I'm like, yo, Edmund, like,
wow.
Like, I love him anyway, but I'm like, yo, because I'm like, about ready to cry, and I see the crowd jump up, because I'm looking at the crowd. I'm like, yo, I missed the shot.
No, you
Edmund
tipped it in.
I'd never seen the tip into this day. I never saw it.
Wow. Wow.
So that's just one sidebar to all of that, because
Yeah.
it's just like, it takes everybody, man.
It takes
everybody.
everybody.
Sorry I didn't throw you the alley, Edmund. I should have did that in the first place.
But man, I mean, it's great to kind of like end on that note too, man. And I definitely thank you for sitting down with us. And I thank you for allowing those that was around you play the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Thank you for giving
man.
us the show, man.
Yeah,
And I applaud you for your success. You got your doctorate.
Thank you.
I got one question. Where did the pizzazz come from? Because you'll come through and do some crazy stuff too now. Where did that come from, man? Because you was like one of the first kids I see come down and throw it behind your back and do some, where did that element of your game, where did that? I mean, you got to have it to do it, but.
I don't know. I'll say a couple things. I think, I always say I came in that era where coaches still were like, run the offense, but then they were kind of like, all right, we'll let you go a little bit. So now you can just do your thing.
Yeah.
But I still was between eras where the coaches didn't really want you to do that.
Okay.
But once a coach gave me confidence, not even confidence, but yo, do your thing. G finally was like, you do your thing.
Yeah.
And he just let me do. And some of that's from the park. We would do practice, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But some of it was showmanship. If you thought you were as good, or you gonna try to pick me up full court, or I was gonna show you yo, you better back up. Give me my space. Just let me rock. Don't wake me up.
Yeah.
So I would tap the ground, do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when people started trying to put it through your legs, oh, you want to get up on me? Boop, through your legs. And then people back up. They're like, okay, I'm gonna just play them straight up. I'm gonna respect them.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect me. So it would kind of be some of that. Mike would do stuff. He definitely was balanced. He had at the parks he'd do stuff, but Tyson Wheeler, we met him at camp. I forget where I met Tyson. We was barely in high school, maybe nutmeg games.
Okay.
And Tyson was like, yo, I did this in a game. He threw it through his legs behind his back, and I was like, oh. And I just oh, we doing this in games? So some of that also contributed, seeing other players who were older, they were getting away with it. I was like, yo, I'm going to do it because I could do it.
Yeah, 'cause
and
you
if,
could do it.
Yeah, and if we're winning, I'm going to do it, or if you try to think you can, really pressure me, then, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to show you, back up.
Okay.
So that's probably where some of it came from.
Hey, man, Hero, man, I thank you, man.
I appreciate
you, man.
For real. For real.
Is there anything you want to tell, the youngins out there that's watching?
Man, to all the youth, first of all, play till the wheels fall off. Keep playing. Don't stop. I'll just say, if you can play multiple sports, great. But basketball and any sport is a vehicle to what you're really trying to do. So take advantage of that. You're only gonna play basketball if you play pro, great. But even that, it's a short time.
Yeah.
So use it, leverage the relationships you make. Make sure you stay true to yourself. Just the effort you put in basketball or any sport, you're gonna have to put in anything else you do. So once I kind of figured that out, like even getting my doctorate, and shout out to Dr. Manny Wright for
Shout
pushing
out
me.
to Manny, man. Manny Wright, Dr. Manny Wright.
Yeah, he pushed
Shout
me
out.
In ways that he may not even realize. But you can do anything you set your mind to.
Absolutely.
You really can, especially if you've played a sport and told yourself things and worked at things. You can do that in any other aspect of your life. I think the last piece is just, now the world's changing, a lot of technology. We were talking a little bit earlier about that stuff.
Yep.
And just really try to, like people have jobs, people have their hobbies, people have things they love to do. Do all of it.
Yeah.
I'm an educator. I'm an assistant superintendent in Boston Public Schools.
Okay.
I'm one of many assistant superintendents up there. So I do have aspirations of being a superintendent in Waterbury, wherever.
Yeah, right, for sure.
But it's just, yes, college is great. Go if you can go, if you think you should go. But having a trade or other things you do on the side is as important. So do all of it. Don't just say, well, I'm going to college, so I can't be in this union. Like, no, do it all. Because in this world now, you have to be multifaceted.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. With that being said, y'all, y'all got a nice history lesson. He gave y'all some gems. And I'm Eric Lewan signing out. My brother Hero.
My bro, appreciate
Thank you,
you.
man.
Love you, man.
Love you too, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. And we got one part of our segment that we got to do. On behalf of Run It Back, I'm going to have your brother.
Oh, Tip. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is. Just shout out to Waterbury, period.
Shout out to Waterbury.
Okay. Oh wow, this is great, man. Thank you. This is amazing. I'm gonna be wearing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Yes,
great,
man.
This is
Thank
great.
you, man.
Thank you too.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too. Man. Wow, this is a great jersey. Yeah. This is nice. 23.
Yeah.
I couldn't get 23 again to save my life. Everybody had that sewn up.